places. The mighty US of A, look how them in disarray, because they forget the first dose of madness. So with the short-term memory, they welcome back Donald T to give that fascist a second term in office. But after they take the bait and they realize what's the fate, enough of them want to change the vote, but it is too late. You see the FA, FO, I see the FA, now they go FO. Plenty immigrants made their choice. Uncle Donald they supporting, but he put their support on ice and themselves he start deporting. FA, FO, I see the FA, now they go FO. But now Donald breaks in because it now so keen. He naming the Epstein files, so they now studying like they voting. A presidential pedophile. FA, FO, I see the FA, now they go FO. You see when you're F around, there's no doubt. Even Uncle Sam will find out that what's so in bam bam starts sweet in the mouth. When you shout FA, FO, tell him that is the call. Oh, say, can you see? You see the call? Come in. Trinidad love all fours, you know that is the truth. So when America Trump, we just follow suit. If them MAGA morons is America's concern, well, we present government is easily the clones. From 2010 to 15, the tenure was so obscene. Scandalize the land and destroy we economy. What? Like we missed the free for all, incompetence and bubble. So we bring them back to finish mash up the country. And as they assume their roles, I set a square peg in wrong holes. Now plenty people who help them win at the polls. Feel the FA, FO, listen the FA, now they go FO. The two worst Alexanders in the world, anti make ministers. One is a racist troll and one need a West Indian first primer. FA, FO, I said the FA, now we go FO. Meanwhile, Tanti setting up TNT in people worship we in place. She should have led the Yankee army plant the red eye in she pink palace. FA, FO, I said the FA, now she go FO. You see when you're F wrong, there's no doubt. Persona non grata must find out that what's our in bam bam starts sweet in she mouth. Sing it out. FA, FO, tell them that is the cause. Cause when cold yellow wins, corruption begins. Where's the real code? Let me talk to the doc. Doc, you had the mandate of most of the electorate, not to mention the support of your party base. Somehow you took that to mean you could manipulate and dictate the decision of who should take your place. And because you were the top dog, you move like an overlord. You find when you tell them jump, they should have asked how high. You set out to sway the vote, offer up a young scapegoat to just get a couple sweat after you say bye-bye. You delay party convention, play with party constitution, and figure you could have gerrymander the outcome. But your FA, FO, not your FA, and then your FO. You chain up the young man for truth to snap the election fingers fast. Although every poll warn you that would have be a short pass. FA, FO, not your FA, now all of we FO. So for your voters who stayed away, you certainly have a part to play. But they feel like they get betrayed like it a snake in the valleys. FA, FO, I say your FA, now all of we FO. You see when you're F wrong without doubt, even strong leaders find out that what's our in bam bam starts sweet in the mouth. When you shout FA, FO, tell them that is the code. So let's do this. consequences. That when you play childish games, you win foolish prizes. The mighty US of A, look how them in disarray, because they forget the first dose of madness. So with the short-term memory, they welcome back Donald T to give that fascist a second term in office. But after they take the bait and they realize where's the fate, enough of them want to change their vote, but it is too late. You see the FA, FO, you see the FA, now they go FO. Plenty immigrants made their choice. Uncle Donald they supporting, but he put their support on ice and themselves he start deporting. FA, FO, you see the FA. Epstein files, so they now studying like they're voting a presidential pedophile. FA, FO, I said the FA, now we go FO. You see when you're ever wrong, there's no doubt. Even Uncle Sam will find out that what's our in bam bam starts sweet in the mouth. When you shout FA, FO, tell him that is, tell him that is the cause. Can you see? You see the code? Come in. Trinidad love all fours, you know that is the truth. So when America Trump, we just follow suit. If them MAGA morons is America's concern, well, we present government is easily their clones. From 2010 to 15, the tenure was so obscene. Scandalize the land and destroy we economy. Like we miss the free for all, incompetence and bubble. So we bring them back to finish mash up the country. And as they assume their roles, I set a square peg in wrong holes. Now plenty people who help them win at the polls. Feel the FA, FO, this is the FA. Now we go FO. The two worst Alexanders in the world can't make ministers. One is a racist troll and one need a West Indian first primer. FA, FO, I said the FA. Now we go FO. Meanwhile, Tanti setting up TNT in people worship we in place. She should have let the Yankee army plant the red eye in shipping palace. FA, FO, I said the FA. Now she go FO. You see when you're ever wrong, there's no doubt. Persona non grata must find out that what's our in bam bam starts sweet in she mouth. Sing it out. FA, FO, tell them that is, tell them that is the cause. Cause when code yellow wins, corruption begins. Where's the real code? Let me talk to the doc. Doc, you had the mandate of most of the electorate, not to mention the support of your party base. Somehow you took that to mean you could manipulate and dictate the decision of who should take your place. And because you were the top dog, you move like an overlord. You find when you tell them jump, they should have asked how high. You set out to sway the vote, offer up a young scapegoat to just get a kobo sweat after you say bye-bye. You delay party convention, play with party constitution, and figure you could have gerrymander the outcome. But your FA, FO, your FA, and then your FO. You chain up the young man for truth to snap the election fingers fast. Although every poll warn you that would have be a short pass. FA, FO, your FA, now all of we FO. So for your voters who stayed away, you certainly have a part to play. But they feel like they get betrayed like
information provided by the speakers and or presenter on Facebook and YouTube is for general informational purposes only. All information is provided in good faith. However, Constructive Talk makes no representation or warranty of any kind, express or implied, regarding the accuracy, adequacy, validity, reliability, availability, or completeness of this information.
The Constructive Talk team with Pastor Google are asking for your support in their back-to-school drive. Let's help the less fortunate children get ready for the new school term. Donations of notebooks, copybooks, stationeries, and book bags would be greatly appreciated. Show your love, show your generosity by contacting 464-703 and we will organize collection of your donations. Thank you from the Constructive Talk team. And remember to be kind, be generous, and be loved.
All year. Na. Oh, I just played football and basketball, then I take a little walk in the mall. Now I say, please hear my call. I need some water to wash my balls.
Please, send some water. Please, hear these calls.
I can't take it no longer. I really need to wash my balls. Yes, I need to bathe and I need to cook. Laundry piling up on the walls. But before anything else, was I look, I want water to wash my balls.
Please, send some water. Please, hear these calls.
I can't take it no longer. I really need to wash my balls. You may not believe it's true, but my wife balls dirty too. My teeth getting yellow like they ripe. What's a please put water in the pipe?
Please, send some water. Please, hear these calls.
I can't take it no longer. I really need to wash my balls.
Hi, good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Good evening to those of you who are locked on to Constructive Talk this evening. This evening I have a guest that's going to be with me, and she promised that she's going to be on this evening. So, this evening I have a guest that is joining me on, Miss Joanne Ujir. Let me see if she is on with me. Good evening, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Hello?
Hello?
All right. You hearing me?
Yes, I am. Loud.
You hearing me loud and clear, you said?
Yes.
All right. Just want to make sure. Just making sure you're hearing me loud and clear. All right. This evening, I have with me Miss Joanne Ujir. And she is a regular, well, I could say a regular, now on Constructive Talking. Can I say that?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. And as I said earlier on, it's my pleasure to have you with me this evening to talk about what's going on. A lot of things, I am hearing a lot of things, we're seeing a lot of things in the media, but we want to know, we want to hear from you what is going on. What is really going on, Miss Joanne? Because I am hearing and seeing a lot of things in the media that.
So let me just say good night to your listening audience. Good night.
Yes.
Good night. And thank you as always for having me to bring to the fore what touches and concerns labor. So what is happening right now, Pastor Google, is I would team it as workers are under attack. And let me start by saying the Communication Workers Union, we have recognition for workers at Hilton, Trinidad and Conference Center, as well as TSTT. And I want to just touch on those two because right now, what may be trending in the social media, and of course the newspaper and so would be TSTT, which I will come to thereafter or right after.
Right.
What we are facing right now, as it pertains to Trinidad Hilton,
Yes.
we are hearing, as a matter of fact, as recent as today, I have heard from the management of the company that talks are going pretty well.
Okay.
Now, yes, and I mean, I am happy to hear that, to be quite honest.
I am happy to hear that too. I am happy to hear that too.
And so are workers as well from the Trinidad Hilton. However, talks are going good. We have been hearing that for the last, let me say, month. Now, if talks are going so good, then why would the hotel prematurely distribute letters of, notices? 45 days notice. They computed the severance benefit packages for all their workers, unionized and non-unionized. And I am saying all of that to say you would have now placed some type of burden on the shoulders of these workers to now say, well, this is the end, the door is going to close come September 19th because it's up to the 18th. The notice is up to the 18th. So
okay.
If we are not hearing anything, then if you have served me or issued me a notice, then that says something, that means something. So if the talks are going really good, and it has been going really good prior the notices, then why issue the notices? So it's contrary, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
No. More importantly, workers are now saying, give me my money and let me go. Because we have persons working there. Sometimes they get 1 day work for the week.
Wow.
Sometimes 4 days work for the month. And these persons have to pay their bills. They have mortgages. They have children to educate. And of course, they have regular things they have to see about. And they need money for. So if it is that I am looking now at a severance calculation, whether it's $150,000 to $500,000, what will I do? I will say, give me my money and let me go. Right, so right now, that is what is happening at the Trinidad Hilton. And additionally, I want to also say, and this is more for the sycophants, the people who like to say, where was the union voice in the last 9 years? Look, people going home in the Hilton, they now wake up from hibernation and they now start to talk. This is not a no-time conversation, These are not no-time questions, These questions didn't arise, out of a vacuum overnight to speak about Hilton, Under the former Secretary General Clyde Elder, who now sits as the Minister in the Ministry of Public Utilities, I could attest to this. I served as his president during 2020 to 2023, and I could recall at all times, once we had the company around a table, Clyde Elder would ask the company, what is going on with these renovations? What will happen to the workers? Are the renovations going to be in phases, etc., etc.? They kept saying one thing. One refrain over and over. We don't know. Then, like a thief in the night, the government started talk this, you started here, what may happen, what may not happen. But Saddam Hussein, the minister who is responsible for Hilton, right? Because it was under Senator Kamar Maraj, Minister of Tourism. Minister Saddam Hussein said, fear not, your jobs are safe. So if your jobs are safe, then the union's supposed to believe that, because he sits in the seat of power and autonomy to make a statement like that. I doubt he's so irresponsible to make a statement like that. But fast forward, the minister has said that, notices came, and the union wrote the minister for a meeting. To date, he has not acknowledged nor responded. So I just wanted to start by Hilton to say what is happening now. We have about 200 to 250 persons facing the breadline if talks are not as fruitful or forthcoming as the company is leading the union to believe. We would hope that these talks are fruitful so that these persons could secure their jobs. But if these talks do not bear fruit, we are looking at another 250 persons on the breadline, and that's for TST. Hilton.
That's a Hilton. So really and truly, what persons are expecting is that what you are sharing with us is what the minister would share with us. All right,
Right.
because come on, and you know, we most of the information that we're getting, I'm being honest with you, is based on what you have put in the public domain. No matter how much the media have been pressing the minister and the prime minister on this issue, we are not getting a favorable response. So everything about Hilton, we just deal with Hilton from now on. Everything with Hilton, the process, everything that is being said, where the negotiations, we don't know, or it's working, whatever. We don't know for a fact.
Yep. Yeah. And that's the same thing. That's the same thing the union going through, because every time we ask a question, it is being met with a very vague response, And again, I have never, and I'm saying this because I expect to get tongue for it, but I'm saying it anyhow. I have never seen the repeat of the level of flagrant disrespect meted out to the Communication Workers Union by this UNC government as it was with the PNM. Let me say that again. I cannot believe that the level of flagrant disrespect that was meted out to the CW by the PNM continues under the UNC. And I'm saying all of that to say, when we wrote to the past administration, we sometimes, if we were lucky, we may get an acknowledgement. I would be honest. The office of the Prime Minister, we would always get an acknowledgement. I'm talking about now. Right? Outside of that, that is what it is. You are not even getting a meeting. You are not even getting a follow-up. Nothing. And this comes from a place whereby anytime you question the government or call the government to account for anything which I believe is the workers' right, and the person who represents, or the body that represents these workers, would be their recognized majority union, which is in this case the Communication Workers Union. What we are getting for the simple word, the very popular word now, is dissent, not truth, dissent. So from the time you have a dissenting view, you are met as a problem, rebellious, antagonistic, combative. And I am saying this to all who may be listening, all who may be trolls and sycophants. Any trade union, or all trade unions, have a responsibility to represent their workers. It matters not who sits in the power of governance. Everybody have a political affiliation, and I respect that. But you cannot, or should not, don't let me say cannot, you should not say, I forego the principles of representing my workers because I affiliated to a party. So the question begs, if the party that you're affiliating yourself with oppressing your membership, are you feeling good to be part of that? And all we are saying is, we believe we have not, let me repeat that, or let me rephrase that. We did not pledge our support behind the UNC government. Neither did we ever pledge behind the PNM. As a matter of fact, the PNM and the UNC are recycle politics, in my opinion. I'm not speaking for the union. I'm speaking as Joanne, a citizen. And all I am saying is, if we pledged our support behind the coalition of interest, as the party calls itself, UNC Coalition of Interest, and all these things happening now, Pastor Google, let us be truthful to ourselves. Be true to thyself. You think I would have been able to stand up and accuse the same government that I am now a part of? And that answer is no. I cannot do that. I cannot do that. When you sit on a position, whether they call us apolitical, whether they call us independent, whether they call us fence sitters, whatever name they want to call it. We said, that we are independent. We have always been independent and we remain independent. That is why you can see Communication Workers Union talking about anything that does not speak to equity and fairness or justice. And that is going to continue as long as there's oppression for workers. The Communication Workers Union, we will speak out.
So you hold fast to the view, because every time you come on this program, you always say to me that your union is apolitical. We are
independent. I don't like that apolitical word. I just like we are independent. All that apolitical thing, we are an independent trade union.
Okay. And because of that, you believe that your union is being victimized.
Yes.
Also,
yes.
I also see where the nurses, what's his name? Mr. Edie Stewart is of the same view. Mr. Edie Stewart also is saying that he doesn't think that he will go back up in September for re-election, because he doesn't want the nurses and his colleagues and everybody to be victimized, because he did not, as you said earlier on, join with this government in campaigning into coming into governance. But you see, we have a problem there. The problem is that, so is this the standard we are setting for Trinidad and Tobago? Right? Where I respect your view that you're saying that you're working on, you believe that the UNC and the PNM is recycled politicians who are of the same ilk. But I've never seen in my years of living and conscious of politics where the PNM join up with a union to win an election. And when the PNM wins the election, they then treat the unions like bastard children. This style of politics that the UNC is operating under is one that says to me, and it is clear when you watch how they're treating the teachers, because the tutor did not join with them on their platform. And they're treating tutor the same way. They're treating the nurses union the same way. They're treating you the same way. I don't know of any other unions, but it is clear that they're not mincing their words and they're not mincing their actions towards people who did not support them. And I think that is a critical and most, Mr. Beak and all would have indicated that because of whatever reason she did not join with them on their platform, she and all felt as though they were victimizing her workers. My thing is that to me says a lot about this government. It says a lot. If you don't support us, we don't want to hear you. We have already sidelined you. But if you support us, go ahead.
Let me just say something on that. Now, I pledge solidarity with all unions, all that have the responsibility and the struggle to get what belongs to workers. And when I say all unions, I mean all. Whether it's the PSA, whether it's tutor, whether it's contractors, whether it's nurses, steel workers, whatever. Because a comrade is a comrade. A comrade can be a comrade in the day and not in the night. But I will come back to that. Let me just touch on TSTT for a minute. What you have right now, so you spoke about tutor, you spoke about contractors, even the PSA and other unions that negotiate with the CPO and this one and that one. Let me just tell persons to just take off their blinkers for a second and look at the Communication Workers Union and TSTT just for a moment. TSTT has never been bailed out. You know, you had to use the word bailed out by the government for anything. We have always been a profitable organization. Yes, excuse me. There were twice or three times in the past TSTT declared a loss. But you see, what persons are not understanding is, even when they declare a loss, they were spending as if they had a profit, as if they made a profit. Go back. And I want persons to go back when they're saying that the union unreasonable and we greedy and we already have big salaries and the country don't have no money, where they want us to get the money from. TSTT has always been profitable. TSTT during COVID, whether their services plummeted, data was the new oil. Everybody was home using virtual lessons, this, that. Data was the new oil. TSTT, data services at the point in time, would have contributed at some point to an increase. That's one. Two, you have been saying you have no money, and you are telling workers you have no money. Then workers will understand you don't have money. But you cannot tell workers you don't have money, and then you had a retreat for over $400 and something thousand. You gifted directors and whoever were the attendees smart shades or smart glasses, Ray-Ban glasses, right? You rented no man's land, this, that. All right, that's one. You had a flip program, which is the Future Leaders program, where you had teenagers, young children, young teenagers coming in, and they were in receipt of a stipend of $3,000. Again, let me say on record, let me go on record. I am not criticizing any development of youth and development. I'm not saying that. I am drawing a nexus to show the conversation or the narrative must match the actions of the company. When they went to the children's hospital, they turned on the tree of life, beautifully decorated. Be mobile. Everything, the laptop initiative for the government, TSTT. Mind you me, all of these things they were talking about, they hardly made a profit. But if you hardly made a profit and workers are seeing that, and hearing that, then the workers would not agitate, the union will not agitate because your narrative equates to your action. Okay, let's fast forward now. The highest profit in 17 years. Mind you, this in 17 years. And you are now telling the workers 0, well, a little bit before the declaration of profit, 0, no consolidation of COLA. Then they progressed and they say, well, here what? We'll alter it a little bit. We'll give you a payment of $15,000, a one-off. Follow me good, eh? Pastor Google, follow me good. A one-off of $15,000. With that $15,000, what that meant is, for the retrenched workers of 2022, the company would now have to pay them, because remember they worked 2020, they worked 2021, and in 2022 they were retrenched. So the company is now saying, take the $15,000, but they have nothing to get. They have nothing to get. And even if they have anything to get, it will only be a one-time $15,000. For the active workers, this is not affecting your salary, so you will work on your old salary. So if your salary was $10,000, you will continuously work at a wage of a salary, of $10,000, but you will get a $15,000 one-off. There will be no retroactive payments, or as we say, back pay. And for recalculation of severance, which is when somebody is retrenched and you settle negotiations, their salary will now be revised. So they'll have to get now a recalculation of severance. All of that, the company said no. Which union will say yes to that? Not the CW. So we said no. And I want persons to understand the level of deception going on at TSTT. The company came to the union and asked for 3 months. When we asked them what you want the 3 months for, they wanted the 3 months to ensure they could be able to make profits. had they been able to stay at the negotiating table to negotiate in whatever manner, they would not be able to declare a profit. As a responsible trade union, what we said is, okay, no problem. We are giving you the 3 months to make sure you make profit. However, 10 is the new normal. As a matter of fact, way back when we sat with the Chief Human Resources Officer, we said that we have it minuted, where 10 is the new normal. So we set the tone for them to know one time what it is. And this 10%, Pastor Google, is not 10% for 3 years. This is 10% for 2-3 year periods. So this is 10% for 6 years, which would now bring the negotiations to 2025. We're still backward in 2026. The company said, no problem. We give us the 3 months. We signed a memorandum of agreement, and I told the company, together with members of my executive, this is negotiations. Let us give something to get something. We want the low-hanging fruits, which would be the matters for promotion, acting, assessments, the low-hanging fruits. We want that sorted out. They said yes. And I will say, I will be very honest, the company appeared at that point to be very honest and negotiated in good faith. And I want persons outside there to understand, there are persons in TSTT acting in vacant positions for over 2 years, 2 years continuous. And you know what the company has said now? They ain't good to be promoted. They're good to be acting, but not promoted. So you know what we're going to do? Advertise the position.
Never.
That is what is going on in TSTT. I'm telling you. People in TS, and that is why the union keep asking, how much money did the company save in personnel costs or operational costs by saving money by promoting less people? We have people with doctorates, 2 MBAs, 3 degrees sitting down in TSTT, you know. We ask them for a manpower audit, right? We ask them to, listen, you are brilliant sitting down there in TSTT. The company has been depleted of institutional knowledge since 2022. And there are workers in the company that are doing 2 to 3 jobs that run their blood to water to make sure the company made this profit. And then this wicked, oppressive company being led by a chairman who seems to not understand the business. And I don't know if he has a personal issue with how the union operates, but he seems to try to be victimizing workers by his actions. And I would want to say, governance, you see what's going on in FCB. You hear what the whistleblower talk about, the problem starting at the board. It is the same thing going on in TSTT. And we have to ask ourselves, if these persons who sit in these board positions have issues with governance, which half of them will be, because plenty of them are financiers and friends of the ruling government. So that is how they get in positions. But I would leave it there for now.
But okay, so let me ask some questions where TSTT is concerned, right? So you all would have sat with the board and come to
No. We don't sit with the board. The union don't ever sit with the board. We don't ever have meetings with the board, not at that level.
Okay.
We meet with we have something called an executive forum,
Right.
where the executive of the union meets with the executive of the company.
Right.
At any point in time when we are having negotiations, there is a negotiating team, a senior member of human resources, and a cadre of persons who report into HR for the company. And of course, the union's team would be the Secretary General, the executive, and members of the branches that make up the negotiating team.
And you all have sat and come to some consensus on how wage negotiations will go.
Yes, but that's how collective bargaining is.
All right.
Parties would exchange proposals, we would discuss it, we would counter, etc. But we never met at that juncture with the HR personnel. And I wouldn't want to go too much into who we met with, how we met with. And if you paid attention to my press conference, I actually showed documents which were exchanged, right? with the upper echelons of the company, with the union. And that is why when Minister Padarat saying there is no agreement, I mean, I can't blame him, because these days, if you really watch, plenty things he's not being advised of, because he wasn't advised of the retreat. He said that. Then he wasn't advised of the thing with Amplia, 150 people with this contract thing. So I wouldn't doubt him that he's not aware that, he was not advised what happened at TSTT. But all I am saying is I cannot be a mad woman to lead a team. And I did not go into TSTT house, and I did not sit by myself, produce documents by myself, crunch numbers by myself, get information by myself, which could only be disclosed to me and my executive by the company, with information only the company could have. And as a matter of fact, I cannot say in isolation $9.6 million is what it will take to pay back pay. How I will know that, Pastor Google? I don't even play with, so I'm not even good with gambling and guessing numbers. So I am saying all of that to say what's supposed to be happening now is maturity and professionalism in the interest of the company and the workers should trump, not egos. What's supposed to happen now as a responsible and mature thinking individual, and I would want to think Minister Padarat should be that. He should now say, all right, this thing start off messy, this banter between me and the union, let me stand aside. But there's a junior minister who once was the Secretary General of this said union. He would understand the semantics, the theatrics of how the union would operate. Instruct Minister Elder to now sit with the union or meet with the union and find out in layman terms what the hell went on, and sit down and say, here's what. Talk to them, find out what they want, or if they could get the 10%. And let me tell you, the company comes now and say, thing ain't looking too good. Or they can't get 10, or they could get 9. Once they could show the union at the end of the day, if you even give them 9%, but we sure we could live to have a job, live and enjoy a salary, job security. The union is not hard and fast. But you're not saying, well, you can't get this, you could get this. All you're saying is no. And a chairman who apparently pulling the strings on top to say no. Something is not, the math's not, like the young people, Pastor Google, the math's not mathsing. We are not about pulling off the company for big money, This is money we worked already for,
But I remember,
make this profit.
I remember you had a press conference. And at the press conference, you would have talked about the same thing, the profits that the company would have made. And I think it was the chairman or somebody you said would have said, okay, or the minister talked about profit sharing, and you would have commended them and said, it's nice.
Yeah. Yes. And let me tell you where that came from. Because just as how the media will reach out to the minister, the media will reach out to me. And the media would have said, Minister Padarat spoke highly about the profit, and he intimated to the reporter that, now we could go back to the table and renegotiate, and I'm paraphrasing, right?
Yeah.
However, bonuses were the payment of bonuses were communicated to workers from a certain level. Junior and senior staff don't get bonuses, right? Persons who fall outside of the bargaining unit, they will get their bonuses. I don't know how much it is. That was already communicated to workers that they were employees that they were going to get their bonuses. Those things would only be approved straight up the ladder, right? Follow me. If those things were communicated, they were not approved. They were not approved in a vacuum. They were not approved in isolation. You cannot. Don't let me say you cannot. You should not pay bonuses in the face of outstanding negotiations. And that is why, again, I would use the word, if you draw the nexus, the agreement from, and I'm speaking from upper source, right? It was already agreed upon for you to now communicate to your senior level managers. Listen, bonuses will run or bonuses will be paid in September. And that is why I'm going back on, and I will say it again. At what point in time did the decision change by the chairman to the ousted CEO, Keno Cox? At what point did Keno Cox probably then now confirm or communicate to HR that, listen, nothing is going to happen for the negotiations because the chairman said no? And I want to put this in the public domain, and I will continuously put it in the public domain. What it is they are hiding in TSTT? Is it that certain questions were raised and somebody didn't like the question? Was it some red flag that was raised at some point in time? Now that workers have to pay? Is it a question that the union may have asked? And because it may go south, the workers have to pay? Because I cannot understand TSTT sent home workers in 2018, stating that it was necessary to be profitable again. They came back again in 2022 and they sent home more persons. So I'm asking the question, and this is what I keep asking, and you're not getting the answers to. Minister Padarat has to answer, was all of this retrenchment based on the fit for purpose report, which up to now we cannot hear about, was that move to send home persons made TSTT viable and sustainable? Additionally, how could you send home all these junior staffers and you're fattening it up? We have 10 to 30 new senior manager positions. And I mean, not that I want to talk their salaries. I've never seen their salaries, but I am sure they're not making 20,000 for the month. And if you look at a vice president's salary in TSTT, I would leave it there. But they don't work for bread and cheese. They don't work for bread and cheese money. And all I am saying is, you cannot tell workers you all had to go home for us to be viable. And now you are only bringing in one set of executives in the company through the back door because they are friends of financiers and others. And when the union question it, you want to talk? Something is wrong. And all I am saying, at the end of the day, workers work hard. Retirees, we have an issue with the retirees. All of these things were to be settled, All of these things were to be settled. And as a matter of fact, money was allocated for these retirees. But again, when the big bad John said no, it's no. So we are where we are now. But I can guarantee them, we will not be in hibernation. We are going to unearth more and more and more corruption in TSTT, because TSTT is the new NGC in 2026. They're raping TSTT finances. Wow. That's what they're doing, and nothing for workers.
When you say they, because I remember in our incarnation, when we started to have these interviews, you had said that to me at one time, where you would draw in reference to Flavor Village. And I know that you would have said to me that you were thinking about doing a what it is, boy, where you, a freedom of information, to find out how much some of these artists who perform every night, how much they were getting, right? And I don't know if you didn't do it, or you say to yourself, you know what?
No, I didn't do it.
You should have done it. You should have done it, because your claims of it running like an NGC, this is one of the things that Trinidad and Tobago was waiting to hear. We were waiting to hear this. The other thing too that you said that jumped out that I really want to get into is that you might be saying, and I respect you for this, that you have your colleagues, your fellow union leaders and union brothers and sisters back, but do they have yours? Let me tell you why. Wait, let me tell you why. You were refused. You had an approval to protest. And then 6 o'clock in the morning, they calling to tell you, nah, you can't protest. I haven't heard. I could be corrected. I have not heard from one of those union leaders to stand in defense of you and say what the commissioner did was wrong.
And I hear you with that. My response to that is simple. I don't know where, I think Ian Allen, I saw on one of his things, he's sensationalizing everything because that's what sells, right? But I was clear. I did say, and I will say it again. I believe that there may have been some interference. Somebody maybe, as we say in local parlance, shoot a call, But more importantly, what I also think, there may have been an oversight as it pertains to where the Ministry of Finance is. So you would know where TSTT House is and the close proximity of the Ministry of Finance. And with this rubbish about the 500 meters where you can't protest, we fall within that vicinity or the proximity of that 500 meters. And I believe, and I want to give the TTPS the credit that it may have been an oversight. However, I would not be so understanding or so, accommodating when I write for another request, which would now be, as the old people say, umpteen of meters away. Then I would see if the request would be approved or if it will be denied. And if it is denied, then I will ask for an explanation. But as it stands now, I have not challenged, neither am I interested in, questioning what it is, because as I said, it may have been an oversight.
Correct me again if I'm wrong. It may be an oversight on my side too. I would have looked at the different areas. I didn't see the Ministry of Finance as one.
Yes, I think it is one.
Okay,
because remember, if the Ministry of if the CPO, let's just say the PSA and other unions who directly fall within the remit of the Ministry of Finance. I'm just saying, and Minister Tanku is the man who's supposed to say yea or nay, where you feel they'll go and protest in front of there, right? So that will fall within one of the areas or one of the locations. And TSTT House is a stone throw away from there. And to be very honest, when I applied for the permission, I really didn't remember or give it any thought.
But did
honest.
But did they agree though?
Yes, they did.
But then that's their fault.
Let me just be clear. I got the calls from the police asking me certain questions, and I will disclose very openly because I'm being truthful. They asked what kind of, is it a peaceful protest? I said yes. I disclosed to the police. I said we will not be having any placards. We will not be drumming. Of course you can't play drums, you know that, right? With the Ordnance Act and that kind of thing. We wouldn't be beating drums, we wouldn't be having any musical instruments. The police did ask me if I'll have a bullhorn or a speaker. I said no. And I made a joke with the police. I said we are a very organized union and we have discipline. So he said, so what you going to do? I said, well, we're going to sing a couple union songs. He said, that's it? I said, yes, officer. Additionally, he did ask me what was the size of persons, the number of persons, or the size of the crowd, to which I disclosed. I said it may be over 50 persons, 50. That's what I told the officer. He said, okay, ma'am. Then you have no issues. As a matter of fact, I personally will come down there just to make sure everything will keep order, etc., etc. I did also speak with someone very senior in the police service. Again, all the questions were asked, all the confirmations were received from my end to him. And he even told me, he said, well, ma'am, again, I will be there tomorrow and you have a good protest. Very respectful, no animosity, no quarrel, nothing. As I told you, again, in the morning, I had about 8 missed calls on my phone. When I checked, I called back because I did save the 2 officers, their names and their numbers. To which when I called them, they told me, they said, ma'am, we are just calling to tell you, you cannot proceed with the protest because I can't remember the exact thing they told me, but I believe it was words to the effect with the 500 meters. And all I said, I say, okay, very much. I say, okay. I say, well, a little disappointed. I say, but notwithstanding that, thank you very much. And that was the end of that.
Okay.
That was the end of that. And to answer your question, if any trade unionists came out to speak or show me support, not everything you may hear or see or see in written and otherwise. But I can tell you a lot of trade unionists, my colleagues in the trade union movement, they would have reached out. As a matter of fact, prior to, they said, sister, you got anything in writing? Make sure, because, right now, they're just waiting to lock up somebody, and we made a joke about it. And I went through, that's what I went through with you, and they said, okay, because as a matter of fact, a number of them were coming out to give me that support. Right? A number of them, in excess of 10 unions, were coming out to give me that support. Right? Because we still have unions out there, contrary to what people think, giving support. Right? All of them are independent as well. So you may not have seen anybody putting out anything in writing or coming out and talking, but I have been getting the support, as well as I give that same support to all of my brother and sister unions.
The minister said that he will not be bullied. He will not be bullied.
Yeah.
Right?
Minister Padarat.
Yes,
yeah.
He will not be bullied. WASA workers would have blocked the front gate. Protests from Thursday straight into Friday morning. That is not bullying, but that's just protest.
That is protesting. They exercising their right.
You didn't do nothing like that. You didn't do the half. You even reach, you didn't get a protest. But he sent a message to tell you he will not be bullied.
More than once.
So that says to me, that's why I continue to say to you that because you are independent, you are considered to be a bully.
I don't think so, And let me add a little bit to that. Independence is one thing, Independence is one thing. But I could be independent and he may not, and I'm saying he to mean Minister Barry Padarat. I'm saying all of that to say independence is one thing. But when you're independent and you have a dissenting view from the narrative that he perpetuates on a daily basis, that is where the problem is. When he spoke about the government will not be intimidated, I would love him to point me to where I would have made any public utterance, or if I wrote something stating that I was actually intimidating or professing to have any type of intimidatory tactics against the government. I would like him to show me that. What did I say? Which would have, redound to that. Additionally, he will not be bullied or the management of TSCT wouldn't be bullied. I don't know where Minister Padarat came out with these words. And they are two interesting words because intimidation, let me tell you what is intimidation. Intimidation is when I say, I tell my workers, hear what? Don't work. Don't work at all. And don't care, no matter what, don't work. If I bully someone, I am practically using a high-handed approach and backing somebody in a corner. And they are helpless. And no disrespect to my comrade sister Felicia Thomas. But Sister Thomas told her workers, No work. I'm paraphrasing. She blocked the gates and she said nothing until X, Y, and Z happens or A, B, and C happens. At TSTT, let me tell you what is intimidation. When the Vice President of Corporate Services, who is a political appointee, where the UNC government placed into TSTT, and if you go back and you check his track record, every time the UNC is in government, he gets a big job. So he was in Petrotrin and he didn't have much of a nice time with UWTU, right? At some point in time, he was in PTSC, and then now he's in TSTT. He sent a letter to the union and reminding the union, and he pointedly said he's addressing the letter to me, or he's speaking directly to me. Now, if you wrote the letter to me, I'm assuming it's me you're talking to, that he wanted to remind me of the section as contemplated in the IRA, which speaks to PSTT as an essential service that we can't protest. And he went further to address workers, not as employees, but as colleagues. So, he didn't write it. Or somebody wasn't sure how to address the workers. But they went on to practically intimidate the workers and bully the workers to tell them, hey, if all your protests, just know all you don't have permission because TSTT is an essential service. So I'm saying when Minister Padra talk about bully and intimidation, did he use that same type of advisory, if I should call it that, to now send to WASA workers to tell WASA workers, hey, all essential to call it, we have telephone communication, all is water. Did you write the president of the PSA and tell her pointedly, so by so? No, he didn't do that. He didn't do that. So I'm saying all of that to say, when they're talking about intimidation and bullying, the Communication Workers Union, as I would have said, we don't intimidate anyone and we don't bully anyone. All we are doing is playing a fair card for equity and justice for workers. Do not tell the union nothing for you and expect us to roll over and play dead. What we did say, my member said, Secretary General, we fed up, and drunk or sober, we willing to put all tools down. I told them, I said, Comrade Lyle Joseph Townsend, the greatest leader of the Communication Workers Union, always said things to us, and it's one of the few things I learned. He said you cannot be sick in concert, meaning everybody can fall sick at the same time, only if they brought the same juice for us all to drink, the same water. But we cannot sick out, and I will not encourage that, because at the end of the day, it's the customer who will feel it. Pastor Google.
Yeah.
So I said, here what? Let us try a different strategy. We will expose and show Minister Padrat, hey, look, we had an agreement here. Look, we have documents here. Look, this happened here. I even told them, pull the footage, and they would see what time we went into TSTT. I called the dates. I called the duration of the meeting. I even gave them the amount of attendees that were in the meeting, and I also disclosed numbers that I alone couldn't do. So I'm saying all of that to say, the stick or the whip that beat the black dog must beat the white dog. The same courtesies extended to the Public Services Association, not because of the coalition, but because of workers. You're treating with workers. Yes, they are a stakeholder. Yes, they are part of the coalition of interest, and I respect that. But you cannot tell me you want to beat CW openly like that. Try to intimidate us, which we are not, and up to this date we are not, right? But you're showing openly, you're going up by WASA, you want to hug up the president, right? And you address the workers as if it's some show on Broadway.
But that is only because and this is the truth behind it, is because they supported them in the general election. They were on their platform. The white dog, the stick that beat the white dog cannot beat the black dog, because the black
and that's
dog.
What I'm saying, it shouldn't be.
Well, like it shouldn't be only if the principle is that the black dog and the white dog is under the same umbrella fighting for the same thing, but the white dog submits to the master. The white dog, if the master said to the white dog, sit, the white dog sits. But the black dog.
Let me pass spin it. Let me pass spin it. It's it is that you all are saying or have said you value labor. So that's what they say, no? They value labor and workers.
Well, the only value you want to support them.
Well, that is where it come down to now, and that is why you would have heard me say we are not. I think the Express and the Guardian put it out there. I told my workers, brace for it and brace for hardship, because now we are going to be victimized more so. Because the minister don't like, he's very thin-skinned. He's very, very, very thin-skinned. He's thin-skinned and very flamboyant. And he can papi show him, he like to papi show people, but from the time you talk and say something, he just take things personal.
Now,
and what I want to remind Minister Padarat is, Minister Padarat works for us. No, we don't work for him.
He don't believe that.
He needs to believe that.
No, he works for who work for him. He works for who voted for him. They told you, they said it, they said party before country. So while you are believing that the principal thing is be working for the country, you all are working for no. It's about party before country. If it's country before party, then go to hell. They told you that from up front. But my thing is,
TSTT, it's going to be workers before party. Because when we start to expose the corruption going on in TSTT, I would love to hear what he will say.
But listen to this. I remember one time your former Secretary General was going into the Parliament, and the media asked him. The media said to him, some of your former union colleagues or the unions are saying that they should get the same thing that PSA workers got. And he told the media, if I could find that clip, I played for you.
I remember. I know what you're speaking about.
He told the media, he said, no, the PSA is getting what they got because they supported this government.
Yeah.
So they are telling you outrightly, Joe. They are telling you outrightly what's going on. We are feeding who feed us. We are buying from who buy from us. You had a right to come and buy. But no. You and then you know what? We'll see a Joe. I just showed you this as a joke. Don't take it personal, right? We'll see a Joe.
No.
You're telling people you vote for Michaela. Oh God!
And I will keep listening. And I am afraid that, because let me tell you something. I get licks for that too, because people so like foolishness, they turn around and say, I was mobilizing CW for Michaela Pandey. And I had to remind people, I am the leader of the Communication Workers Union. I cannot tell my members who to vote for. And I will never tell my members who to vote for, because they will tell me they're going to vote for this person and they'll go and vote for some other person. And that is their right. I, Joanne Miriam Ojir, as a law-abiding citizen, exercising my democratic right, I am a firm supporter of Michaela Pandey and the Patriotic Front. I don't hide that. I have plenty PNM friends. I have plenty UNC friends. I have people in the UNC who are lawyers and doctors, who some of them in the government know. Good friends. And I have friends in the PNM. Same thing. And all of them know the same thing. I am not afraid of that. I support Michaela Pandey, because I keep saying we cannot talk about change. You want change, but you're running by the poll and you're going back by the PNM. You're cussing the PNM for 9 years. But because you feel, hear what I like to say, is I'm voting for the lesser of the two evils. Rubbish. Is either you want change or you want the same thing. And I am saying and I will continue to say the PNM and the UNC are recycled politicians. And politics, if you want change, then you have to look for something different. So I don't care. They could say what they want. There's already said that I'm a PNM union. No problem. Everybody entitled to say what they want to say. But I, as an individual, and not as the Secretary General, I, as an individual, support Michaela Pandey. That is public knowledge.
I agree with all that with you, Joe. We go talk that. We go talk that personal. All our personal.
Oh God.
We go talk that. But we ain't going talk that with you tonight. We talking union business. We ain't talking the politics. But you know,
problem, man. No problem.
You know, I am convinced, Joe, that at the end of the day, you're not going to, as you rightfully said, that you told your union members, it's not going to be a walk in the park. It's not going to be a walk in the park. And you know, while we were discussing and we talked about what happened with the march and with the protests and all of that, you know, just today I was on the phone with a senior police officer. And you know, he telling me, he said, you know, I still confused on what happened with our protest that was supposed to take place. He is confused. I said, well, if you confused, we're leaving for me. And he's a senior police officer. He said, but I would like to talk to Joe to find out what it is really going on. But he listened to the program. I know that he would be shaking his head in doubt. Because that is, I would tell you, I'm sure he will call me after and say to me, that is gross incompetence.
Yeah.
Right? And
it happened already. We're going to do.
I'm going to do. That's what we just do. That's what we just do. We show your hand up in the air and say, it happened already.
No, I don't throw my hand up in the air, but you can't cry over spilled milk. Because again, if we were to just go back there, you know, they're going to tell you the 500 meters. The 500 meters, but we don't throw our hand up in the air as our people, you know. Let me tell you what has happened. We just talk for 9 days, and that is why I say, I'm not talking for 9 days for that, you know. Because what is the bigger picture now that people not focusing on, Pastor Google? All of these so-called threats that we're hearing, and I keep saying it, you know. I keep saying it, prepare, we have to prepare ourselves for extension of our SOE, you know. It coming, you know. Okay.
You think so, girl?
I feel so.
I am of
the firm belief.
I do feel so. Them police post.
If it don't happen, then I will say I'm wrong.
Them police post they're putting down there is to deal with it, man.
Well, okay. Well, we will see. We will see. I just find things happening a little too suspicious all of a sudden. I don't know. I could be wrong. I just asking for a friend.
So we are reaching to a place where now, and this is just me, and I'm asking you, how long do you all think that you could survive not being politically affiliated? Unions I'm talking about, because I think that unions, I think based on how the electorate is going and based on how the conversation is going with unions and political parties, and I think the time is going to come where you all cannot hold out that independent stand.
So let me answer you. Not a politically correct answer, or not a how I should put it, boy. Not a PR response. And I'm gonna be clear. There are certain trade union leaders are of the firm belief that politics and trade unionism should go hand in hand for the mere reason to aid in policy making and, of course, you know, to ensure that, let us just say, another oppressive government doesn't regain their seat in power, right? And I have a difference of opinion. I would have just said in the opening why I believe that Communication Workers Union, because I can only speak for the Communication Workers Union, cannot and will not now, not next 5 years, not next 10 years. Well, I wouldn't be there next 10 years. So I don't know if when they have another Secretary General, because I don't plan to be there until I am age 60. I want to enjoy retirement away from the union. I will support, but not at the helm. So I don't know who might come there and who may have a difference of opinion, and they may want to now change the principle of the union. What I believe in is, if trade unions are to be involved in politics, then we should get involved in a vehicle or a political party that is based on labor. So it must be a labor party.
Will you have
However,
MSG?
The question that follows that is, do we have a population, or is the population so incensed to be conscious enough to throw their support behind a labor party? When we can answer that and say yes, then the MSJ might have a chance. Because we still have the people out there saying, what Labour Party could do this? What Labour Party? Now, the PNM or the UNC. Because you know why? They don't think outside of red and yellow. They don't see, they talk labor, they like to wine and drink rum and telelay themselves Labor Day. But they don't understand the heights and the depths of Labor Day and what it means, So they wouldn't even understand for a Labour Party to come out and really give the government a run, how much more protected labor and workers could be. So I'm saying all of that to say, the morning they come and say, here what? And let me say it's the MSJ, because the MSJ is the only labor vehicle party that I know of in Trinidad and Tobago. If the MSJ comes in the morning and say, here what? All of you, just saying, independent, apolitical, or whatever term you just use again, let us pool our resources together to come out and fight where we know that there is no compromise, and we know these are people birthed and their consciousness is about labor. Then I will wholeheartedly support and say yes, because this is all about labor. This is not about labor mixed with this one who have this agenda and who might just be pretending to like labor. You understand? But they need labor to win an election. Because let me talk the truth, Let me talk the truth. So I'm saying all of that to say, some people believe, for instance, let me just use the OWTU. The OWTU would have pledged their support, no disrespect. TT Post and PSA Fire Services, I believe. And I can't recall if they have another one. I think it's Transport Industrial Workers Union. I respect that. That is
the Steel
choice.
Workers Union too.
No. Steelworkers Union are independent. Don't go there. You'll get mashed up for that. Don't go there. They're very independent. That is one of my comrades who does get licks just like how I does get. But he's not a part of the coalition of interest.
You believe?
Right?
You believe?
So I say,
you believe that, Joe?
If I believe that, yes, the Steelworkers Union President Timothy Bailey.
He's not.
If he was part
he's
of,
not cousins with
if
Sobas. He's not Sobas' cousin.
I don't know about that.
Okay, I just
And
asking.
even self, if that was Soba's cousin, that could be a family. But I mean,
No, man, I sure have a video
there.
with he saying he's a part of the coalition of interest, man.
Well, if you find that, send that for me. Once you find that, send that for me. But I am going on record tonight for your viewers to also hear me saying it. Steelworkers Union is not a part of the coalition of interest. If you paid attention to the last press conference we did at Tutor, all the unions who sat at the head table are not part of the coalition of interest. All. The only union that came late was contractors. All of us, we are not a part of the coalition of interest. So I'm saying all of that to say, I respect whoever feel it is necessary for them to align themselves. So whatever might be the cause, that is their right. But CW would not be nowhere now in the near future under my leadership has instructed to me by my general counsel to be a part of any political party. I'll rest there.
But you know that I was listening to the news and I heard where the TT Post, the union, right?
That's about Forbes, yeah.
Right. He said he was drawing reference to people who are part of political parties. So he drew reference to Jennifer Petit's Primus. Now I remember Miss Primus joining the PNM after she came out, she left PSA. She wasn't the president of PSA and and then became the minister of labor. He talked about, and this man Mr. Errol McLeod, he was not president general, sitting as the president general, and just went over into UNC. All of the persons who, like even the former tutor president, Mr. Garcia,
Yeah.
right? So when he would have said that in the public domain, I said to myself, this man isn't too accurate with the history, because he was trying to bring a point across that unions have always been involved in political parties. Presidents have always, and I'm like, nah, man, no. That example was off. Right?
Well, for me, possibly
because your president, your former secretary general, he had already left and then went to be in the politics.
Correct. And he would have scolded the UNC brutally, just like many others. He would have scolded the UNC and scolded the PNM in the same manner. Brutal under the PNM, he beat the PNM. And he beat the UNC. But, I mean, at the end of the day, everybody has their own conviction. So he may have felt a conviction to join, as I would say again, to him probably, I can't speak for him, but I'm just assuming, let me go and serve the lesser of the two evils in his mind. I don't know.
All you good with? Joe, before you go, take 2 calls now.
Sure, no problem, because I have a very early morning. I have an interview for 7 in the morning on Freedom 107, so I want to get a little good night rest. So no problem.
All right. That's fine again. Freedom, I kind of advertising here. I kind of free ad again. Freedom there. That's just a joke. All right. So we're taking your calls on 464-7003. 464-7003. We're taking your calls and we want to hear your views. Again, we're talking labor. All right. We're talking labor. I am still not impressed, or I'm not in the I don't think that your colleagues really have your back, in the sense of the mainstream ones who people used to hear very loud, very, very loud. You're not hearing them again. You know, I see where they're calling for they are calling for Mr. Selwyn Kojo to resign, to step down. And I don't know well, you wouldn't, I don't know if you know what's going on, but they would have asked for, you know, some wage negotiations, you know how it go, same thing like you.
Yeah, they have been some wage negotiations with UTT.
And Selwyn Kojo tell them, if we don't have no money, forget about that. But then they disclose, you tell them, you can't get no money, forget about that, but then your salary is nearly $100,000, and on top of that, you're trying to sell with your book. Away with you. But I want to see how long that would last.
Yeah.
I want to see how long that would last, because at the end of the day, all of them were on the platform saying to us, party before country, go to hell, and yellow is the code. All of them.
Before you open the line, Pastor Google, I want to also say one thing as it pertains to that. Now, a lot of people talking about it have no money and it have no money. And I don't know. I wouldn't know. I would have heard it by the former Prime Minister, Dr. Rowley. I would have heard it under Colm Imbert, right? But I also heard them, as we say again, enrich themselves, raise their salaries, right?
Yeah.
Parliament. But I've also heard too that the UNC said 10%. Now I know a promise is a comfort a fool, but the UNC Coalition of Interest has said a promise made
Promise
is a
kept.
promise kept.
Right.
Right? So I am saying all of that to say, before going into the government, assuming that you would win, and they did win, what they should have said is, we will give you the 10% when we get in there and examine the finances. But you see, they have created a legitimate expectation to workers. So some workers might be, maybe, and they might beat me for saying this, might be a little ignorant or arrogant to say, I ain't care where they get the money from, I want my 10% because that's all they promised me. Now that is how we as a people would say things, because you have created a legitimate expectation. What you are not hearing is, hear what? It really ain't all that, and we could still try to do X, Y, and Z. But you made the promise. You made the promise. My future Prime Minister Makela Pandey in her papers, I like it. I know you like that part, in the newspaper this weekend. She says, you promise the people, hear them, because it's the same way when they criticize and say Dr. Rowley, which I did not support up to this day, to raise their salaries, right? When people suffering, you all went and raised your salaries, and then when the UNC came now and they won the election, why they didn't say, don't give us the new salaries? They all took it. And
With
we have
back
the
pay.
largest parliament.
With
we
back
have the
pay.
largest cabinet, with back pay.
With back pay.
Right? That's what I'm saying, with back pay, but the workers know, and the persons who voted for you, and those who didn't vote, right, now have back pain, not pay, pain. And we are still waiting on 10%. So I just wanted to say that. So the promise now coming to be like if it's a comforter, and I wouldn't want to call people fools. So I'll pause there and you could open your lines, because I really need to go in a little bit.
All right. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Dr. Google.
All right, good evening.
Okay, firstly, I want to congratulate Ms. Joanne, for her stance, as a trade union leader. I think at this time, she demonstrates, more strength than most of her comrades, as she said, they're all comrades. But I want to congratulate her. I've been following her for a couple of weeks now.
Thank you, sir.
Question is, who is the first minister in this government as they got in, that when the government get rid of CPEP, that said CPEP is collateral damage? Isn't it Comrade Elder, the trade unionist, who
Yes.
said that CPEP is collateral damage?
Yes, he did.
Right, so I'm saying this to say, where these people's heart and mind are. If you are a trade unionist, you are a trade unionist in and out of trade union, Inside, whether you're in or you're out, you still have that love and that passion and compassion for workers, right? And I heard that same thing that you remind of when he said, PSA, because they are thing. Something when you all were trying to maximize on some of the unions, don't leave out NUGFW. They are part of the coalition of interest, right? Miss, what's her name? The PSA president, Miss Felicia Thomas. Where you listen to her utterances, she speaks as a politician. Whenever something would happen, you never hear what she says. Promise made, promise kept. So where is your allegiance? Is it to the political party, or is it to the membership of your members? Because you have to remember, as a trade union, not all of your members would support the party that you support, right?
True.
And as you pass a Google, you would hear 10%. when you listen to 10%, you heard what 10% was saying to you last week. He could not have approached the president or the minister when he came there because he was afraid that they would have suspended him.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Right. Why? Because if your union was showing that strength and that you are really supporting the workers, and the worker come and tell the minister, listen, what you doing here, you mama gainas, then she would have been in a position to defend the worker. But no, they cannot.
Yeah.
Right? They cannot.
Yeah.
Because the majority, and this is why I want to congratulate Ms. Joan, because I've been listening to her last week when she came out of I think it was last week Wednesday or Thursday somewhere there, or Tuesday, when she had her last Wednesday, you know. And let me tell you, I'm a former trade unionist. I'm a retiree now. I am 69 years old. So, but I still have that passion for workers, right? I still have that passion for workers, but I don't go there.
All right, caller.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, sir, comrade.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he said something that I just wanted to kind of bring you in the loop about. So we have a caller who was there when the minister came in Wassa, right? And I asked the caller, I said, so why it is you didn't, stand up and say, hey, your mama guy, you promising we food today when we hungry, we promising us food tomorrow when we hungry today. He said he would have been suspended. He said he felt as if he had done that, he would have been suspended today. And he said in Wassa, when you get suspension, it's not 2 months and 3 months, Sometimes it's 6 months. So I said okay, sir, because I can't get the man groceries and things to take care of your family and pay bills. But I just thought that in the midst of what was happening there, he could have stood up and say, hey, minister, what you telling us there? Not making no sense. Right? And we waiting to see how this will pan out. We waiting to see if this is not just old talk and mamagism.
Well, for the benefit of the workers, I hope it does. I hope it work out, because it is going to be very tough on Comrade's sister if it doesn't work out. Because remember, union work is a thankless job, and you could try to turn water into wine for your members. The day one thing don't work out, they forget everything that you do good, and they remember you one bad. So for the benefit of the leadership, the viability and sustainability of the PSA, and of course in the interest of workers, I hope it works out.
Wow, I hope so too, because there are people who really believe in her and believe in the union joining up with this coalition of interests to benefit them. That's all it is really about. The coalition of interest is to benefit the worker, while the union president and other persons around might get a little token on board appointments and all of that. But the real interest is the worker. It's really
supposed to be. It's supposed to be. Yeah, that's where it's supposed to be. At the end of the day, that's what you took your oath of office to do, to support your workers. And that should be paramount.
Well, let's see. Let's take one call before Ms. Joanne go. Let's take one more call. So the number to call is 464-7003. 464-7003. We're taking your calls. So how is this? So really and truly, we just sit in docks waiting to find out what's going on with Hilton then?
Yep. You couldn't put it any better than that. The latest this morning I heard from one of the top tier management is the talks are really going good. So my fingers and my toes are crossed.
What are you saying?
That's all we get. We get weekly updates every Friday. Well, we have only been in receipt, I believe, of 2. I stand to be corrected. And they're very open-ended. They're very nothing of interest. It just says, well, talks continue. As a matter of fact, we don't even know who are having the talks. As far as what was disclosed to me is the legal team from, I'm assuming, ETech and maybe somebody in Hilton and the government. But as it pertains to the management team of Hilton, they have said openly to the union that they don't know what is going on. They get third-party information, and whatever is trickled down to them, they would disclose to us. So we are all waiting the waiting game. But I was told that the hotel is doing very good because they have a lot of guests and it's very, very busy. But I guess the government would have to know, and as well as the brand Hilton would want to know, listen, if the lease is extended, then we would want to stay, because I don't know if you know, but the hotel has been there since 1960 something. I think somebody told me the other day. So it's not now that they have been here.
But
they're nestled in the hills there for a very, very long time.
But the other question that people are asking is that they're building one in San Fernando.
Yes, we were told that it's not a Hilton Trinidad. It's one of the how you call it, Lord? Like one of their chains. So it's not like a Hilton Trinidad and Conference Center. It's like how you would have a subsidiary. So there probably is some Hilton Gardens or something like that. I stand to be corrected, but it's not Hilton Trinidad and Conference Center as is the one on Lady Young Road. It's one of their chains.
But between me and you, Joe, you from South, I from South. What a hotel?
Mm-hmm.
What a hotel is really?
Well, if you follow the money, Pastor Google, follow the money. If you look at the vicinity in which they said it may be erected, follow the money. You recently saw a multi-million-dollar high-rise going up there in the back of UTT there. You would have just seen a super farm, a new, what's the name of the grocery? I can't remember the name of the grocery right now. Extra Foods. You would see the whole
South
Park
mm-hmm.
shopping area. You would see a new BYD car firm going down there. They have one up Richmond Street. They have one down there now. So, I mean, they're expanding. So, they're catering. So, even if a hotel goes there, to me, that will just complement the space, complement the certain crowd that they would want to cater to. And, of course, more importantly, it would now be open to have more jobs, sustainable jobs. I'm just saying, it's just a pity that we can't even get a little confirmation or some hope, right, that these 250 persons in Port of Spain have even a ray of hope to say, hey, here what's going on. I could still have my job. As I told you, it have people with 39 years of service, 35 years of service, 20-something years of service getting 1 day a week. And this hasn't been going on now. This has been going on for a long time. That's how they're rostering people. And we have a case right now in the industrial court for permanency where somebody working 30-something years and they're telling them they're temporary.
That normal.
And it's normal for them, yeah.
That normal in the work sector, in the working thing, you know.
It might be normal, but that don't make it right. And these are the things why trade unions have to make. Let me rephrase my statement. That is why trade unions have to remember why we are trade unions and what are unions supposed to be focusing on. Not taking away what might be your political aspirations and alignment, but the main reason that you became a trade unionist and the main reason a union supposed to be called a union and what we're supposed to do in the defense of workers.
Do you think that they would send home TSCT workers? Some TSCT workers? If
they
you
would
were to
send them
get
home.
through, if you were to get through with your 10% lobby, that promise that was made to you, but in order for them to give you that promise, they decide that they would send home some TSTT workers.
Well, if they had to send home TSTT workers, no. Better they close down the company, because let me tell you why. TSTT headcount right now is about 500 workers. And out of that 500, you probably have 300 unionized staff. And I'm talking about TSTT alone. So if you send home unionized workers, let me just say unionized workers, who are the engine room, then better you close it down. They can't have nobody to send home again. If you understand my point.
Yeah.
No, they could send home some managers because they're not unionized. They pay them 3-1, right? 3 months every completed year of service, and they send them home. Some of them want to go home right now. And as a matter of fact, let me tell you, people so demotivated in TSCT. I feel if TSCT come now and say offer VSEP, 90% of the workforce might walk because of how they're seeing how they are being treated, and two, how the company going. But I don't see them closing it down. Who knows? They might want to privatize. I don't know.
Yeah, they might want to privatize because you have economists who are advocating for that.
Yeah, I have seen comments on Facebook why the government don't get out of this thing, shut it down and privatize and get rid of the unions and get rid of them lazy workers because we're asking for a salary increase. But then again, some of them, they just say that because they're suffering from foot and mouth disease, because some of them, they don't even get themselves in a position to even know the facts. They just speak openly. You understand? And very ignorant. Some of them just ignorant and arrogant. Why? Because TSTT workers, they feel at the heyday workers, we have all this big money and we come on.
Yep. Yeah. So Joe, let me thank you very much for being with me this evening on Constructive Talk.
No problem. No problem at all.
Well, you keep me abreast on how things going.
Definitely, I will.
When is your next press conference? So I want to be at a press conference. I find you don't invite me to a press conference and them. You want me to ask you no questions.
I never said that. I never thought of it, but when I'm having the next one, which will be not next week, because we have some information that we are waiting on to get, as it pertains to some of the statements that I want to make, because right now you have to be very careful what you're saying.
Okay.
So I don't want to speak out of turn and irresponsibly say anything that, of course, could be a detriment to the union, because they may want to decertify the union. Those things are possible by my utterances or my actions. So I'm just saying, I don't want to say anything where they might send a PDO for me.
Right.
So I want to be able to be responsible in my utterances and, of course, my behavior.
What about I was going to ask you, boy. Wow, that what you just said there just made me think, They may just want
remember
to
under the PNM, if you could remember, under the PNM, they tried to decertify the CWU. So that's why I was trying to understand how people could still say we are a PNM union. Under the PNM, we got 2 retrenchments. So I do understand when people say, oh, we're loyal to the PNM. The PNM took bread out of workers' mouth in TSTT. And they crippled the Communication Workers Union. It was under the PNM that, we got union busting. The worst. You understand? So, I mean, no. Under the UNC and Coalition of Interest, we may be just as unpopular, because now we have steered the course and we have remained true to form. We calling anybody to account, whether you're red or yellow. So right now, dissent is not popular with this government. So I still have to be careful in what I say, because they can use the same actions that the PNM once tried to try it now in 2026. And I don't want to go down in history to say under my leadership or within my tenure of the Secretary General of the Communication Workers Union, we were decertified. So again, that is why I say in all my utterances and my behavior, they will always be above board. I do have cocoa in the sun and I don't look out for rain.
sent home workers. So you would have drawn
Well,
reference to
in
two occasions.
2018,
Uh-huh.
in 2018, we were under the PNM, and in 2022, we were under the PNM.
Okay.
And TSTT workers, over 1,200, I think, workers went home in 2018 and 2022. That's public knowledge.
Okay.
If persons could recall, the former Secretary General, Comrade Clyde Elder, he was retrenched in 2018, and he won his matter in the industrial court, where the court found that he was not supposed to be retrenched. That was one of the judgments that came, and the workers who were sent home, 503, they got what we call a Pyrrhic victory, where they were paid $10,000, which is nothing for being retrenched unjustly. So that happened in 2018, and then in 2022 they came again and they sent home a set of workers.
Okay.
That didn't happen under the UNC. That happened under the PNM.
All right. All right. Well, I hope that persons are listening who are asking the questions on the
Okay.
YouTube. All right. So
No problems.
so Joe, tonight you had 617 persons.
All right.
You see, you're telling
Thank you.
you just bring all the people to hear you, you know.
Well, I hope some if not all of what I would have shared, would have quelled their concerns or allay their fears or allay their concerns too, as it pertains to what are the actions of the CW and how the CW would think and operate and even act. So I hope, based on my utterances tonight, it would have provided some refreshing thought, if any, as it pertains to what we are about. And again, to our customers, I want to say this again. This union is all about being responsible in our actions. Yes, we will demonstrate, but we will never bring demonstration to a point where you all will suffer. There will be no disruption of service. We will want to improve your service, not disrupt your service. And with that, thank you very much, Pastor Google, and all the listeners tonight.
When is the conclusion for when are you all supposed to conclude or the 10% agreement, and when is the conclusion?
There are no dates.
Okay.
There are no dates. What the company and the union agreed to was to actually resume negotiations on July 1st. Today is August the 24th? 4th? Yeah. So you see how late we are. And based on persons who just came into the company, they haven't even served a year. They know who they are. And they have been enjoying vacation. So everything has to work around their time frame. So they have indicated that very early in September, they will meet with the union.
And,
very early is probably next 2 weeks.
And Hilton?
Well, Hilton did indicate to the union that should the union have any questions concerning anything concerning staff or the renovations or even the lease, we are free to ask them and they will have a meeting. However, they cannot disclose anything further. So as I said, right now, what we are actually doing is every Friday, we would be waiting on an update. The company did say that they will try their best to keep the union informed as best as they can based on whatever information is given to them. However, the updates are just talks are being fruitful, and that's it.
Okay. Interesting. Well, you will keep Constructive talk abreast on all that is happening.
Definitely.
And I look forward to your invitation for the next press conference.
No problem at all.
Yeah, it will be the first time we meeting each other in person. Is that people?
No problem.
Hear this now. Is that people believe both of us know each other like good friends? You know?
Really?
Yes.
And I sure, if I see you in Port of Spain or if you happen to walk in front, I wouldn't even know who you are because we never met.
No.
I guess. I still have to go and look to see your picture good because I think I glimpsed, it had something on YouTube. I think I saw you sent something sometime or I saw something I was looking at and I saw something on YouTube. But no, we don't know each other.
No. I tell you that
people. But I'd like to meet you.
It's people who believe we know each other long time.
Probably it's just probably how we talk. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you is a
But it's all good, man.
Gasprolo.
It's all good.
Yeah, Gasprolo girl, a Gasprolo boy. So and
Born and bred, eh? Born and bred.
And Alma Trace, Lumsden. That's where I, grew up.
Right. And I'm from Bonaventure.
So you see, so we had
Happy Hill.
That principle, that moral and principles that we grew up with.
Yeah. Joseph Remy, former Secretary General as well from the Communication Workers Union. Also is from Gasparolo, right on the hill there too, right?
Okay.
Walking distance from where I born and grew up, eh?
Okay.
He's a Gasparolo man too. Yeah, Joseph Remy.
Well, you see, good people.
Mm-hmm. Good people.
So thank you again, and I look forward to having you again. I look forward to hearing from you. And we made and when we meet, we will discuss how we're going to do the educating of persons being involved in unions on the platform.
Yeah.
I think people are wary and they are hurt by decisions of some union leaders to be a part of politics. Have made a lot of persons very disenchanted with unions and why they should be a part of a union. So I think we need to clear that up a little bit.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, then.
No problem. Well, a pleasant good night to the listening audience, and thank you as usual for having me. It was a good opportunity, as always. Have a good night, everyone.
Most welcome. God bless. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. All right.
All right. So you all just heard, we just had Miss Joanne Ogier on with me, and she was discussing labor. And really TSTT, and she was discussing TSTT and Hilton workers issues in Trinidad and Tobago. So for those of you who are now joining the live and you want to know what is going on, well, you just heard I just did an interview with Miss Joanne Ogier, and she was dealing with issues in the union. So it's important that we are aware, we make ourselves very aware of what's going on in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to open up the phone lines for you to share with me what are your thoughts on what's happening in Trinidad and Tobago. So we're going to go for a break and come right back. Don't come off the live. Stay right there as we get ready to switch gears a little bit and take your calls and some of the things that are happening in Trinidad and Tobago. So much is happening, and we need to continue to be abreast on all that's going on. A lot is happening in Trinidad and Tobago. All right? So I'm going to take a break, come right back. Let me get some water now, and come right back and talk to you guys.
This fight is about bread, butter, and justice. And we fight with blood, sweat, and tears. We won't give up, we won't surrender, and we shall overcome. When talking about labor here in Trinidad, you can't leave out Butler, the man from Fiberback. He appears and disappears, so the people say. I hear he made an appearance just the other day, and he said, what he say? Roger, comrade Roger, Roger, why you gone down there? How could you abandon your brother David Abdullah? Roger, comrade Roger, I know you've been there before. How come you ain't seen corruption evermore? Roger, comrade Roger, boy, you down there on your own, looking like a hungry dog begging for a bone. Roger. They say you made the best offer for the refinery, but they still looking for a buyer. They scorn your money.
That must be a bitter pill. Of course you're gonna be angry, but remember what Stalin say, black man don't get nothing easy. I know you agree. Roger, comrade Roger, Roger, why you gone down there? How could you abandon your brother David Abdullah? Roger, comrade Roger, I know you've been there before. How come you ain't see corruption evermore? Roger, comrade Roger, boy you down there on your own, looking like a hungry dog begging for a bone. Roger. Certainly you have the right to endorse anybody. So comrade, don't be uptight or fuss too much over me. I just do not understand why you forsake your own brother. But if you're happy with that, you could go and campaign for Lucifer or his sister. Roger, comrade Roger, Roger, why you gone down there? How could you abandon your brother David Abdullah? Roger, comrade Roger, I know you've been there before. How come you ain't say corruption evermore? Roger, comrade Roger, boy you down there on your own, looking like a hungry dog begging for a bone. Roger. The labor movement came the MSJ, seeking to bring improvement in governance today. I thought you was all for that like George Wicks and Rienzi, but you proved to we you rather put party before country. Comrade go free. Roger, comrade Roger, Roger, why you gone down there? How could you abandon your brother David Abdullah? Roger, comrade Roger, I know you've been there before. How come you ain't seen corruption evermore? Hey. Roger, comrade Roger, boy you down there on your own, looking like a hungry dog begging for a bone. Roger.
Comrade Roger, gone down there, begging. The man say, yes, all you could be, me getting involved. So, yep, it's my time now, it's your time now to get interactive with me. You can call 464-7003, 464-7003. So I take your calls. What is on your mind? What so you heard the interview with Miss Joanne. So I really just opening up the phone lines now for you to call in and share with me what's on your mind. I just had to do that interview. We were supposed to do that interview on Thursday. Unfortunately, Miss Joanne was not available. And she promised that she would have come on Monday. So I was really glad when she obliged and did come on and share with us what's happening with Hilton and what is happening with TSTT. All right. So at this time, I open up the phone lines 464-7003, 464-7003, and I talk to you. So. You know me, I don't like the monologue thing. I like I like to interact. right? So you can call in. You can call in. You know, I respect Miss Oji, you know, opinion, and when she talked about, you know, her comrades, I did say to you guys, I personally, I don't believe that you know they don't have our back. You know, some of those unions don't have our back. Some, as I say it like this, some of those unions don't have Miss Ochiru back. All right. So, I'm taking your calls on 464-7003. 464-7003. You can call in and let me know what's your view on what's going on in Trinidad and Tobago. All right, you can call in and let me know what is your view on some of the things that's happening in Trinidad and Tobago. A lot is going on, a lot is happening, but again, in Trinidad and Tobago, I don't know how serious we are as a nation. I'm seeing where people are talking about what's going on around the savannah. There are people who are, I saw where Mr. Elias, is this, no, not Elias. What's the man name?
I don't think y'all are.
What's the man name again, boy? I forget the man name, I know. I forget the man name now. But he has been out there talking about what's going on. And it's just sad.
I said, give me a F, 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 O, and let them know that is the code. Some say the code is this, some tell me it's that, but I don't hear the facts. Give me. We experiencing a global phenomenon. With serious issues, mankind choose to fool around. Then they go find out, facing real consequences. That when you play doggish games, you win foolish prizes. The mighty US of A, look how them in disarray. Because they forget the first dose of madness. So with the short-term memory, they welcome back Donald T. to give that fascist a second term in office. But after they take the bait and they realize where's the fate, enough of them want to change their votes, but it is too late. You see the FA, FO, I see the FA, now they go FO. Plenty immigrants made their choice. Uncle Donald they supporting, but he put their support on ice and themselves he start deporting. FA, FO, I see the FA. So.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Pastor Ruben. Well, I can't keep it. I was glad when you come on and get to be informed. You see the interview that they had with the communication woman. She's very articulate in how she put across her message to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. She's standing up for the rights of the people because right now this government is just firing left, right, and center, and they're not doing things to protocol and things, you know. So we have to say, thank God we have somebody in the union that's standing up because the rest of the union like they're silent, like they're not, like the future talk out because whatever the government might be offer them, that's a hush them out. you know. And that's what I like about this woman. No matter what the consequences is, she's making sure that the workers deserve whatever they get. And she treated a good person like Jonathan and thing. And that's my father. I remember I told my father about a poor cousin. Yeah. And he's very knowledgeable. I didn't see him. Yeah. And I'm glad how you have come out and bring all the information to the people. What's going on in South, down in South. You see me already in South. What's going on in Pleasantville? Well, I mean, to the area, the Eastwood and the San Brian Manning and thing. It's very shocked. It's very sad. But I like how he come out and speak. They say things because the man has right to the executive and they didn't take him on. So he can't see something going on in the constituency and he come out and talk out, you know. And then he being reprimanded by the chairman. Well, that's a social thing. So we have to pray, you know, Pastor Google, because people fighting for power, you know. In that, you know, we have to pray back. We have to pray and ask God to deliver us. You know, so I'm listening to you. I'll come and listening. Have a nice night.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
So they now studying like they're voting a presidential pedophile. F-O. I said the F-A. No, never F-O. You see when you're ever wrong, there's no doubt. Even Monka Sam will find out that what's so in bam bam starts sweet in the mouth. When you shout F-A, F-O, I tell you that is, tell them that is the call. Oh, say, can you see? You see the call? Come in. Trinidad love all fours, you know that is the truth. So when America Trump, we just follow suit. If them MAGA morons is America's concern, well, we present government is easily their clones. From 2010 to 15, the tenure was so obscene, scandalize the land and destroy we economy. But like we missed the free for all, incompetent. The two worst Alexanders in the world, anti-make ministers. One is a racist troll, and one need a West Indian first primer. F-A, F-O. I said the F-A, now we go F-O. Meanwhile, Tanti setting up TNT in people worship where we in place. She should have led the Yankee army, plant the red eye in Pink Palace. F-A, F-O. I said the F-A. You're ever wrong, there's no doubt. Persona non grata must find out that what's our in bam bam starts sweet in she mouth. Sing it out, F-A, F-O. I tell you that is, tell them that is the code. Cause when code yellow wins, corruption begins. Where's the real code? Let me talk to the duck. Duck, you had the mandate of most of the electorate. Not to mention the support of your party base. Somehow you took that to mean you could manipulate and dictate the decision of who should take your place. And because you were the top dog, you move like an overlord. You find when you tell them jump, they should have asked how high. You set out to sway the vote, offer up a young scapegoat to just get a kobo sweat after you say bye-bye. You delay party convention, play with party constitution, and figure you could have gerrymander the outcome. But your F-A, F-O, got your F-A, and then your F-O. You chain up the young man for truth to snap the election fingers fast. Although every poll warn you that would have be a short pass. F-A, F-O, F-A, no all of we F-O. So for your voters who stayed away, you certainly have a part to play. But they feel like they get betrayed, like it had snake in the body. Say F-A, F-O. I say your F-A, no all of we F-O. You see when you're ever wrong without doubt, even strong leaders find out that what's our in bam bam starts sweet in the mouth. When you shout F-A, F-O, I tell you that
All right, so I think here is where I will have to say my good night. And tell you thank you very much for being on with me this evening on Constructive Talk. It's 10:47, so I'll hit an early night tonight and jump in the free. Let's see if I can jump in tomorrow. Please go ahead and chat with you about what's going on in Trinidad and Tobago, see what's happening in the news, and talk about what's going on in the news. And we just have a good evening with Constructive Talk. So again, let me thank all of you for being on with me this evening on Constructive Talk. And we continue with our discussions and stuff like that tomorrow, please God. So you do have a blessed evening, rest of the evening and night. Have a blessed night and talk to you guys tomorrow, please God. Good night, everyone. Be safe. And thank you again for joining me on Constructive Talk.
The information provided by the speakers and or presenter on Facebook and YouTube is for general informational purposes only. All information is provided in good faith. However, Constructive Talk makes no representation or warranty of any kind, express or implied, regarding the accuracy, adequacy, validity, reliability, availability, or completeness of this information.
The Constructive Talk team with Pastor Google are asking for your support in their back-to-school drive. Let's help the less fortunate children get ready for the new school term. Donations of notebooks, copybooks, stationeries, and book bags would be greatly appreciated. Show your love, show your generosity by contacting 464-703, and we will organize collection of your donations. Thank you from the Constructive Talk team. And remember to be kind, be generous, and be loved.